All right, everyone. We're going to talk about some new features we've added to the MCC services. So what's the motivation for this? The motivation is that MCC hierarchies can get very, very complex very quickly. They become very deep, where you have multiple nested MCCs. They can become very broad, where you've got very wide accounts spread across dozens of MCCs. So previously, developers will always have to log into the MCC UI and then manually connect, disconnect, and manage their accounts. It makes a manual process very slow when you're talking about onboarding an account or reorganizing your account hierarchy. There are a lot of different reasons why you might want some better functionality in the Outwards API. You might be talking about simply reorganizing your hierarchy, moving around a bunch of different accounts. You might want to set a bunch of your accounts to an inactive MCC so they're not being retained among your existing accounts. You might want to onboard a brand new account or offboard some accounts that are no longer with you. And you might want to just do some normal daily data name maintenance where you're just, inviting a new account, rejecting them, etc. Manage customer service.mutate manager. This allows you to very easily reorganize your hierarchy. You can move any client account from one MCC in your hierarchy to another one. Just have to make sure that both of the MCCs, the old manager and the new manager, is managed by the user that you're making the request with, the effective account. One caveat to this method is that you cannot yet move MCC accounts as the target account. You can move client accounts, but not the MCC itself. We're working on adding support for that. To get around this for now, if it's within your hierarchy and you got account credentials on both the target MCC and your normal user that you authenticate with, you can simply terminate the link with either set of credentials, extend the link from the new MCC, the new parent, and then accept it with the MCC that you wish to move. So here's an example using Mutate Manager. We're moving account 1 to be managed by MCC 2 instead of MCC 1. Because both of these sub-MCCs are managed by MCC 0, you can make this request with MCC 0's credentials and move the account 1 from MCC 1 to MCC 2. You could likewise move account 1 from MCC 1 to MCC 0 or from MCC 0 to MCC 1. It doesn't have to be to siblings or laterally. You can move it anywhere within the hierarchy as long as the account that you're making the request with can manage the target, the two MCC accounts, and obviously the client account that you're moving. One caveat to Mutate Manager is that MCCs can only be nested 5 levels deep. So if you try to move too many MCCs too deeply, you run into problems. This is also a caveat for invite MCC, for example. If you're inviting MCC that already has a fairly deep hierarchy, it might not be able to go under one of your very bottommost leaf nodes. So let's talk about how you manage an account from start to finish. First off, your MCC needs to extend a link invitation to the client account. They'll receive an email every single time this happens. So remember that this tends to be a kind of an expensive operation. You can send multiple invitations at the same time, but it will take a little bit of time because we have to send an email, we have to make all sorts of checks to make sure that this is a valid link, that it's not already being managed, that there's no cycles, that it obeys the depth requirement, and such. So this is an expensive request. So you extend your invitation. Optionally, either you or the client could retrieve this invitation. For example, maybe you're doing some maintenance and you're trying to say, okay, which of my MCCs have pending invitations that have never been checked? You can use this to quickly check your invitations to see what's out there. The client account then accepts the invitation. Okay, now you have an active link. Now you can start managing it, set up campaigns, manage the keyword bids, etc. Optionally, down the road, you might decide you want to move this account around. Not absolutely required, but it is part of the lifecycle. Lastly, the MCC, or actually the client itself, will terminate the link between the two. Maybe you've decided to part ways, maybe this account is no longer yours, etc. Now, there is one more caveat that we need to introduce when we're talking about budgets. if you're using MDO budgets, manager defined orders, they're connected to a specific MCC. So the problem becomes, if you have this account hierarchy and you have your budget, your MDO defined on MCC1, and you have a budget defined for account 1, we have a link between those two. If you then try to move the account from MCC1 to MCC2, you've now broken the link from the MDO to the client account, and the budget will effectively end immediately. As soon as the link is terminated, that budget is no longer active, and the account will no longer have a budget in which to serve ads. So if you're using MDO budgets, make sure that you go in and you resolve the account link so that there is a budget active. There is some sort of a billing instrument to bill for AdWords usage in the new account, or it won't serve any ads.